This is a Dragon Blazer production, and I am the little boogeyman.
All right. Coming down the aisle, it's the podcast tag team champions of the world, the Rage and Blaze Show. Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Rage and Blaze Show. I'm Rage.
And I'm Blaze.
And man, it's good to be back. Unfortunately, we have had to take a 2-week hiatus. I mean, you could call it a quarantine.
We're dealing with the apocalypse, man.
So unfortunately, some of my kids had to be quarantined, not because they were sick, but apparently some other kids at school, so contact tracing, blah, blah, blah. So unfortunately, to be safe, we was not able to get together to do the show for the past 2 weeks. So if anybody was wondering where their fix of the Rage and Blaze Show has been for the past 2 weeks, that is why, because we are dealing with uncertain times, and everybody's been affected. Our sports have been affected. Our livelihoods have been affected, and now your podcast has been affected.
Yep. And when we record this show, we get together in person to do it, watch it together, record together, and we weren't able to get together because of quarantine.
Yeah, so we had talked about other options, but decided just taking a 2-week break would just be the right move.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but we're back!
Yeah, I'm very excited and very bummed at the same time because the month of November, as everybody who watches wrestling knows, specifically WWE wrestling, they should know that the month of November was celebrating the Dead Man. The Undertaker's 30-year anniversary hit this month. In November, we have had 30 years of the Dead Man, and they celebrated him at Survivor Series. So we originally had all these plans to have an Undertaker special. We were going to do the episode in which we're about to start now, which is the Survivor Series in 1990, which this actually kind of fell in line perfectly originally.
Yeah.
That we were going to get to watch Survivor Series 30 years pretty much to the day, or at least the month, to celebrate the Dead Man on our podcast. And unfortunately, the world sucks right now. And it just, unfortunately, just did not work out for us scheduling-wise. So now we are going to extend the celebration of the Dead Man into December, which we are in now.
And we're still talking about possibly doing that special episode where we talk about the Undertaker, aren't we?
Yeah, that is the plan. We're probably still going to do our special. Just unfortunately, it's a little later than we had expected due to unfortunate circumstances. So, we would like to, without further ado, get into one of the pay-per-views that I have been super pumped to watch. And that is 1990 Survivor Series, the premiere of The Undertaker.
Before we get started, I do want to bring something up. We did have some major news this week.
Yeah.
With the death of Pat Patterson.
Yes, I did hear about Pat Patterson, and that is unfortunate. See, for wrestling fans at our age, Pat Patterson is mainly known as a stooge or a lackey of Vince McMahon. Yeah. We're not trying to disrespect the man.
He was pretty great in the role, to be honest with you.
That was our real big introduction and knowledge of Pat Patterson, and he was always entertaining when he was on the camera. So hearts go out to him and his family, and that sucks to lose him. I don't know if was he still involved. Do you know? I mean, maybe
I believe he was in back.
I think he still was.
I believe he was backstage.
I mean, even though you didn't see him on camera, Yeah, you didn't see him on camera, but I think the man pretty much dedicated his life to the
WWE.
sport of wrestling, or the sports entertainment of wrestling.
He will be missed.
Yes. So that's definitely a big blow. But now, you got anything else before?
No. I just felt like that happened this week.
I agree. Okay, so I think we're gonna go ahead and move on. Now, you got anything else?
No, we're good.
Now,
let's get to Survivor
we
Series.
are going to get in to the 1990 Survivor Series and the premiere of Kane the Undertaker. Okay, so we're into the Survivor Series, and this is horrible.
2 weeks off, and you're just terrible now.
Oh, we're just going to keep recording then.
Yeah, let's just go with it.
Okay. Usually we edit. It's like, okay, well.
Nah, let's show them how the sausage is made.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so first things first, we get an introduction, a bunch of, listings
promos?
of. No, we get the listings of
we get to
the
see
matches.
all the matches that are happening.
And then you see it's Gorilla Monsoon and Rowdy Piper on commentating.
Which makes me wonder if Rowdy Piper's injured, so he's commentating instead.
I don't know. Not sure what the reasoning behind that is.
Hey, Boomer, you wanna get on that for us?
So anyhow, then we do get an interview. We get an interview of the Ultimate Warriors. And it is consisting of team captain, of course, the Ultimate Warrior, the Intercontinental Champion, the Texas Tornado, and then we have the Legion of Doom. Love them guys. So Hawk and Animal, and they do a little bit of an interview, and everybody sounds pretty coherent. And then the Ultimate Warrior talks. So, and he talks about there is no antidote or medicine that can break the bond of this team. So he goes on a
it was
warrior
a great
rant.
interview by Hawk and Animal.
Yeah, it was good time. So then we get the entrances of their opponents of Demolition, Axe Smash, and Crush, accompanied by Mr. Fuji. And we get Bobby the Brain Heenan accompanying Mr. Perfect in the Perfect Team. So that is our Survivor Series match. And this was a hell of a match to kick off the pay-per-view. I thought this match was phenomenal, exciting, fun. Everything worked in it. There wasn't any botches, no bad wrestling. Everybody was top-notch talent, and this match couldn't have gone even better. The elimination between the remaining members of... Okay, so with the eliminations, you had Axe get eliminated first, so we didn't have to see his grown-out hair anymore. So that got taken care of, and then we get a double disqualification between the remaining members of Demolition and the Legion of Doom.
Just because they don't want to stop fighting.
Yeah, basically they break out into a brawl. Now, I will say, I don't remember, I think it was Hawk and maybe Smash got into it with the referee and actually pushed and kicked the referee. So the push was one thing, but then the kick was like, okay, yeah, people are about to get disqualified. So I actually thought it was just going to be those two members that got disqualified, but since none of them would go back into their corners, he eliminated the whole teams of Demolition and
which weren't
Legion
two
of
of
Doom.
them legal men?
Two of them were legal men, but
were they the ones that
the legal men, I think, are the ones that pushed and kicked the referee.
So that makes sense.
So it just kind of the referee's like, I'm done with this, and I eliminated everybody.
It's like, yeah, screw this.
So that left Mr. Perfect 2-on-1 with the Ultimate Warrior and the Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich. And once again, this match continued to be good. With Kerry Von Erich being eliminated next, and which was surprising to me that they had Mr. Perfect pin the current Intercontinental Championship. So
not
I'm
a
sure
surprise
that's
for me, because who gives a crap about the Texas Tornado out of all these people?
He's the Intercontinental Champion.
I don't give a crap.
Well,
he never should have won the damn Intercontinental Championship.
Well, regardless, he did, and he is. So anyhow, the last two remaining is the Ultimate Warrior, Mr. Perfect, and Mr. Perfect even put on the Perfect Plex
after
throwing the Ultimate Warrior into exposed turnbuckle.
Turnbuckle, yeah.
So after this happens, Perfect Plex, Ultimate Warrior kicks out of the Perfect Plex. It's like, wow. So anyhow, so then the Ultimate Warrior, hawks up basically, and or warriors up, and ends up eventually coming back after really taking a beating from Mr. Perfect. I don't know if I've seen the Ultimate Warrior take a beating in a match as long as he took from Mr. Perfect in this match.
Well, there hasn't been a lot of matches where the Ultimate Warrior's in there longer than 4 minutes.
This is true. He probably took a beating longer than most of his average time of wrestling.
Yeah.
So it looked like Mr. Perfect for a while there really had the upper hand and was going to continue the upper hand. But then, of course, the Ultimate Warrior gets the pin 1, 2, 3, and I thought this match was phenomenal. It was a great way to kick off the show.
Yeah, and you had a few things to say about this match. Not actually about the match, but about the people in the match.
Oh, yes. So the last pay-per-view we watched at SummerSlam, we saw that there was a feud going on between... the Hart Foundation won the titles. There was Legion of Doom came out during the match with Demolition.
And
so it would have made sense that Legion of Doom teamed up with the Hart Foundation, and that would have been the Survivor Series match. But that is not what we got.
No, it was
but
weird.
Instead, we get Legion of Doom with the Ultimate Warrior and Texas Tornado versus Demolition and Mr. Perfect. And I have a theory. I have a theory that the WWF was not smart enough to book what the feud was, and instead wanted all guys with makeup in this match, except for your Texas Tornado and Mr. Perfect, who had apparently been feuding over the Intercontinental Championship at the time. So it felt like they were paired just because Legion of Doom and Ultimate Warrior all wear makeup, so let's pair them against Demolition.
Yeah, they should have just had shitty Legion of Doom come out there and have one of them as a face and one of them as a heel.
Well, I think at this point, one of shitty Legion of Doom, as you referred to them, I think is gone. The Warlord's still
right.
in the WWF, but I don't think the other guy still works. So you can't have shitty Legion of Doom.
Shitty.
I thought they were pretty good, but...
knockoff. I'm sorry. Walmart Legion of Doom. I'm sorry. I didn't mean shitty. Just Walmart brand. Made in China. So anyways. So I would like to point out that could be exactly what they did. Is we wanted mostly guys with makeup feuding in this match. But that means they were like, oh, we're just going to throw the world champion in a Survivor Series match that has nothing to do with any of these guys.
Yeah, and we don't...
Just because, well, he's got makeup on, so let's just throw him in.
Well, it really felt that way because there was nobody on the other side that he was really feuding with. As a matter of fact, this was so apparent that Mr. Perfect begged when the Ultimate Warrior was originally about to face Mr. Perfect after the disqualification of Legion of Doom and Demolition. He actually pointed towards Texas Tornado, like, I want him! And so
they were probably actually having a feud.
They was. So it's like, that shows that Ultimate Warrior was kind of the odd man out of this match.
But
and I
felt
he was booked because he wears makeup. I really feel this way. I can't prove it.
I'm not willing to. I actually don't see enough. That is the only thing that would make sense for why Ultimate Warrior is in this match. But it's how dumb is it that you took the world champion, didn't have an actual feud with anybody for him, and just throw him in a match because he's wearing makeup? How? I mean, it's like WWE's like, or WWF at the time, I don't give a shit about our world champion. He's got makeup on. Throw him in that match.
That's basically what I think they
That
did.
seems to be what they did, and that's just
Pretty much.
messed up. You also had something else to say about Karen or Eric or whatever.
Kerry Von Erich?
Tornado, that douchebag.
Why is he a douchebag?
I
Just
don't
because
know.
you don't know him?
Because he beat Mr. Perfect out of nowhere, and he didn't deserve the win. That's why he's a douchebag.
Fair enough. Okay, so we're going to move on to our...
No, I brought him up for a reason.
Oh, you're not done.
Yeah, no, you were talking about how he looks like a...
Oh, that's what you want to talk about.
Yeah.
So during the match, we notice, he's got the little tasso things on his, whatever you call those, on his boots.
Yes, it's boots.
He's wearing white trunks, which we have seen Ultimate Warrior, and I even think in this match he's wearing white trunks. And the only difference between these two, we're talking down to the hair. It really looks like the Ultimate Warrior before makeup.
Which means your world champion and your intercontinental champion
look identical. Yeah. They literally look just the same. You put Ultimate Warrior paint on Kerry Von Erich, and I think you could tell everybody that's the Ultimate Warrior who learned how to speak.
They should have just threw some makeup on him just to fit the rhyme scheme in
You
this
really
match.
should have, and Mr. Perfect should have put something on his face too, just because I think that's all the WWF cared about, was that people were wearing makeup during this match.
Yeah, right.
So, there was a legitimate feud going on between Legion of Doom and Demolition. But after SummerSlam...
And Perfect and Tornado.
Yeah, but after SummerSlam, it really felt that the Hart Foundation should have been involved in this.
I don't know why they're not in this. That makes no sense.
They might not even be in the show. Maybe there's more to it. They showed us the teams at the beginning, but I can't remember if the Hart Foundation was listed. But we'll have to
I didn't
find
really
out.
think about it.
So maybe for some reason they're not even.
I don't know.
Who knows? But now we're going to go ahead and move on.
Yeah, now we can.
And we'll go ahead and get to the next match. Okay, so the next match is the match that I think we all have been waiting for. So it is the premiere of the secret weapon that they have. We get an interview beforehand with the $1 Million team. $1 Million Man addressing, he's got a secret partner. And he's got the Honky Tonk Man and Greg the Hammer Valentine. What is their new tag team name? Rhythm and Blues, maybe?
Yeah, I think it is Rhythm and Blues.
Rhythm and Blues. They're addressing the secret partner. They've got Jimmy Hart with them and Virgil. So we get the entrances to the other team, which is the Hart Foundation, Bret the Hitman Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart. And we get Coco Beware and the American Dream, Dusty Rose. This is the Dream Team. So then we get the entrances to the other contenders that I just mentioned. And finally, we get the secret entrant, The Undertaker.
And he was awesome. Awesome. I loved his dead-eye stare through the entire match. He kept that up through the whole thing. Like, he had a gimmick and he was going with it. And it was fantastic. Everything about this was fantastic, except for two small issues I had.
And those were?
The first off, Buddy Love was his manager. Why? Out of all the people, why? Why? Like,
They didn't seem to really put in a lot of stock in the idea of the manager and the wrestler partnership.
They really didn't. They will eventually. He will have the best manager for him very soon, I hope. But Buddy Love, you got this red-faced painted guy bringing the Undertaker out, and why? And they cared enough about it that he even pretty much, and the other complaint I have is how The Undertaker was taken out. I mean, he went out.
Well, I think that was the only way to honestly take him out.
Or you have him take everyone out. You just make him strong.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that they didn't just have him kind of clean house. But at the same time, I mean, you did have him look not weak because you had him get counted out. But I do have another gripe. He kept going after Dusty Rhodes.
Well, he went after Dusty Rhodes
but he wasn't the legal man when he did that.
Yeah, that made no sense as well. That's another reason I don't like the way he was taken out. He wasn't even the legal man.
Yeah, unless we missed a tag and we didn't notice it.
Maybe we missed the tag. That's possible, I guess.
I don't think he was the legal man and he got counted out.
But he went after Dusty Rhodes because Buddy Love started attacking Dusty Rhodes. And then Dusty Rhodes, of course, fought back. And Undertaker went after Dusty Rhodes because he was attacking his manager.
So, I mean, I understand the concept of have him counted out so it doesn't look like this new guy that we just brought in got pinned. But the team won.
Yeah.
It would have been like if Bret Hart was, which, by the way, Bret Hart was the last remaining member of the Dream Team, and DiBiase was the last remaining member of the $1 Million Team. If Bret would have won this match, I would have been like, okay, that was their way of getting him out, but letting that team win. But the $1 Million Man won this match.
Right.
It almost makes me wonder if it was a screw-up, because we saw Bret Hart lip something after the pin.
Bret Hart said, fuck.
And it was very clear as day. And we sat here and even asked ourselves, 30 years ago, Bret, you do realize this is a scripted sport, right?
Well,
because
he'll find out later, not always.
That was just, not always. But that was just an odd reaction to him getting pinned. Almost like I just fucked up. I didn't get up in time for the 3, and maybe I was supposed to win this match. It was very odd ending.
I mean, the way that he did it, it didn't look like he should have kicked out, because $1 Million Man locks it in. It was a fantastic lock pin. It was more like I can see Bret it made sense why and what he said, even if it wasn't scripted. But the fact that it's you're not supposed to cuss, it was just a weird choice for him to say fuck right there. I mean, it was interesting. Bret Hart, yeah. I imagine that man is a very foul mouth.
But yeah, just very interesting decisions being made here. Why wouldn't The Undertaker be one of the, say, even 2 sole survivors of the Survivor Series match if his team was going to win? So why eliminate him? Unless you're just starting a feud with him and Dusty and that you just felt that was the...
I mean, that's possible.
I suppose. But I thought going into the match, the feud was between Undertaker and Dusty Rhodes. I misspoke. $1 Million Man and Dusty Rhodes because of the whole Sapphire situation. And I really thought that was kind of where the feud was. But then you have Undertaker chasing Dusty out of the arena. So
we got to see our first...
kind of odd.
Our first tombstone.
Yes.
On Coco Beware.
But we have not seen a chokeslam.
We did not see a chokeslam. But the tombstone was weird because it was it's like he hadn't realized, where a perfect place to do a tombstone would be? And do his little cross? Because he even tried to do the cross thing. But he did it right up against the ropes. So the guy gets tombstone and then he lays sideways so he's next to the ropes. And then he crosses the arms at his side. After the tombstone. So he even did his normal crossing of the arms, something we've been seeing for years. Even did that in this first match. But it was awkward. It was awkward because he didn't do it in the middle of the ring. And he didn't do it at his head.
Yeah.
So, but then we also got to see him do a variation of what he'll eventually start doing, old school, which is where he walks on the ropes and then does when he holds and does it one-handed axe handle smash.
Well, this was a two-axe
This was a
handle, and he
two-handed
didn't
axe, so he didn't
nobody,
hold
so.
him, but he did walk on the ropes. And then that's how he took out Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
Is by walking on the ropes and then doing a two-act, kind of a weak finish for Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, but it was just kind of, you saw a glimpse of things we're going to see. The one thing we just missed was the chokeslam, and it just makes me wonder how long until he started using that. You know, it just makes me wonder. So,
Well,
but anyhow, that was awesome. Once again, great match. This is 2 in a row. Great Survivor Series matches. This is shaping up to be a pretty good show.
it has been pretty good. And we finally get to see The Undertaker.
Yeah, so I'm excited because we get pretty much get The Undertaker for the next 20 plus years and 30 years at part-time.
I'm looking forward to counting the streak.
Yeah, the streak's going to be fun to watch. So, yeah, this was a good one. Okay, so before the next match, we get an interview with the team known as the Vipers. Jake the Snake Roberts, Superfly Jimmy Snuka.
Well, it wasn't the whole team. It was just Jake the Snake Roberts.
No, they were all in there.
Were they?
Yeah, they were all there. I don't think
the focus was on Jake.
I don't think the others talked.
Oh, yeah.
The Rockers, Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels. So they are taking on, and they do themselves a little bit of an interview, but it was, I like you said, I think it was just Jake talking. But then we get the Visionaries, which is Hercules, Paul Roma, Rick Martel, and the Warlord, which Hercules and Paul Roma is now on a team called Power and Glory.
Which they were last
they
podcast, too.
And then they've got Slick in their corner. And one interesting fact about this match is Jake the Snake and the model Rick Martel had been feuding. So you noticeably see that Jake the Snake has white eyes. Well, one eye.
His left eye.
Well, this is because the model Rick Martel sprayed him with his arrogance. And it blinded Jake the Snake Roberts. So he is wearing...
Blinded by arrogance.
Yes, so he is wearing a white contact lens to sell the blindness of the arrogance. It's kind of interesting. So anyhow, this match was probably the least of the night, least favorite so far, but it was still a good match.
It's still not bad.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad match. It just was probably the least exciting of the matches we have had so far. But this was it was a good match. I mean, you had some good stuff from the Rockers and everything. I mean, you had Jimmy the Superfly jacked up Snuka, looking very jacked up lately.
With against the roided out...
yes, very roided out Warlord.
Warlord, yeah.
He looks like he has gotten a little bigger since the last time we've seen him.
I'm pretty sure his penis is much smaller.
He's grown neck bones. So this dude looks like a beast right now.
Yeah, from SummerSlam to Survivor Series, he's grown 3 sizes.
I mean, I'm just glad that since we are from the future, we know the history of these wrestlers, and we do know that the Warlord finally does get off the juice and finishes his career off as Stone Cold Steve Austin. So this is accurate. This is not history lesson.
That is not true. That is not Stone Cold Steve Austin.
So he gets rid of the roids and starts drinking heavily and flipping people off.
That is not true.
His career. Yes, this is
that's
factual statement.
The Warlord is not Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty confident.
But are you sure?
I'm thinking, how old is Stone Cold?
I don't know, but have you ever seen him in the same place?
I'd never seen the Warlord until we started watching this.
But I mean, have they ever been together, like kind of like Clark Kent and Superman? You've never seen them together, so you know.
I don't believe this is Stone Cold at all.
It has to be.
It's a blatant ripoff. of a guy that hasn't even come out yet.
I'm
willing to bet that Stone Cold is...
Wait, a blatant ripoff of who? Because this is before Stone Cold
I know,
becomes famous. So
yeah,
who's ripping off who?
This is a blatant ripoff of before Stone Cold became a big...
I'm pretty sure at the current moment right now, I'd have to look up the dates, but I believe Stone Cold is currently in the WCW at this time, or this might be a little before he gets in the WCW, and he has beautiful blonde hair, and he is stunning Steve Austin currently. So I don't know.
So, let's see. What is this, 1990?
Yes, this is November 1990.
Well, yeah, I mean, you might be right.
I might be right. Are they the same age?
He would have been only 24 at the time.
Who? Steve?
Stone Cold.
Steve Austin?
Or no, 26.
What?
He was born in 1964.
Okay.
So he would have been about 26 at this time. So
this,
it's not Stone Cold.
No, it could be. It could be roided Stone Cold.
Jeez. He's definitely on the roids, but I'm telling you, it's not Stone Cold Steve
If that
Austin.
man lost 50 pounds and all that muscle mass, that is Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Mm-hmm.
You put a pair of blue jean shorts on that man and give him some beer, you wouldn't know the difference. They're the same guy.
No, they're not.
Same exact guy. Moving on. So this match was all right. Like I said, had some good stuff from the Rockers, but it just wasn't. It just didn't really grab my attention like some of the other matches. And then the way it finished was very typical to just the way they like to end things. And that's Jake the Snake Roberts being the sole survivor. Well, the remaining survivor for his team, the Vipers, and he's about to pin the Warlord after a DDT, which I will say the Warlord sold very, very well.
Yeah, even after they won, he's just still standing like...
Even after the match, he's like, what
which way did he go, George? Which way did he go?
What hit me here? But anyhow, Rick Martel tries to cheat. Typical, he does spray him with more arrogance. And so then...
Which, let's point out that this is like a spray can and not something else.
What, like a fart?
Way to keep it PG of what I'm talking about.
Oh.
Yes, a fart. His arrogance.
Oh.
So this is a spray can.
Yeah, and it literally says on the side of the spray can.
It says arrogance, yeah.
So he sprays Jake the Snake with the arrogance while the referee is back turned, and Jake the Snake responds by getting Damien out of the bag and chasing Rick Martel out of the arena with the snake. Now here's where the things get interesting, which shows a little bit of favoritism in the WWF in 1990, is Jake the Snake gets counted out to 10. He was the obviously legal man and only man left on that team. He gets counted out. So then the announcer announces that the winners of the Survivor Series match, the whole team of the Visionaries. Now, here's the problem. Undertaker got counted out when he was not the legal man in his match. So why did Rick Martel not get counted out and there should be 3 remaining survivors of this match?
I don't know.
Very interesting notice here that a little bit of favoritism kind of feels like if the NFL would move teams back because of COVID, but not other teams that might not have a quarterback. I mean, things like this that show obvious favoritism. Yeah, just happening in the WWF in 1990. Anybody want to talk football with me? I guess there's probably another podcast for that.
There is. Who Dey Bitchin'? We talk about other things other than the Bengals.
Yeah, well, we're supposed to talk wrestling here. I just kind of used it as an example because as much as I hate the Broncos, come on.
They picked someone off of
They had a guy off the practice squad that was a wide receiver that was a quarterback at one time in college. And
hey, you threw a ball once, like one play. That's fine.
That was embarrassing for the Broncos to have to go out there with no quarterback. But then the Ravens get pushed back till Wednesday to make sure.
Well, it was more than just
I know it was more
Lamar Jackson. It was,
and although Lamar still didn't play.
Lamar didn't play, but there was, James Conner is on the COVID list.
Yeah.
There's Ravens and Steelers, so it was both sides.
Yeah, it just felt like they should have had to play with
Mark Andrews, I believe, is on the COVID list as well.
Yes. So anyhow, we'll get back to wrestling.
Sorry, people that are not fan of both wrestling and football.
So sorry about the hot take there. So anyhow, this match, like I said, it was a good match. It wasn't a bad match. It's just my least favorite of the night so far, and that's not saying a lot because I think these matches have been great.
Yeah, they've been pretty good.
Yeah, so this has been a really good show. Obviously, getting the premiere of The Undertaker was awesome. The Ultimate Warrior Legion of Doom demolition thing, that was awesome. So far, this has just been shaping up to be a great show, and I really hope it continues on. Then they also just started advertising Royal Rumble for 1991. We just saw that at the end of the match, and Rowdy Piper gave his take on, how these guys are surviving as a team, but Royal Rumble, they're going to survive as solos, by them, every man for themselves.
Undertaker was awesome. It was awesome to see him, other than the fact that I wish it wasn't tarnished by a shit manager.
Brother Love!
And I don't even hate Brother Love as much as my co-host here.
Oh, I hate him.
Yeah, cannot stand him. I don't even hate him. I like him for what he is, but I don't like him as the Undertaker's manager. Ever. Like, never should have happened.
Doesn't. I'd like to know, definitely interesting to know once we move on to Royal Rumble, how long that lasts, because I don't think it lasts very long. This might have been the only time we see Brother Love as his manager. I'm not sure.
Why don't we just have $1 Million Dollar Man? $1 Million Dollar Man brought him out as just be like, I'm kind of your manager. Why did he have to have a manager?
That's a good point. Like, it doesn't really make sense that $1 Million Man did bring him out, so why even?
Why did he need a manager to come out with him? None of that makes sense, and especially having that manager be Brother Love. Come on. You know what? Past. I need you to actually have the manager fit the wrestler. Okay? You got a gimmick wrestler, you have a gimmick that makes sense. You don't throw a pimp on a big boss man, and you don't throw a preacher as the Undertaker's manager.
Okay, so I went ahead and just looked it up, and turns out we will have Brother Love as his manager at the Royal Rumble.
Oh, dear Lord.
Although, he does switch in February of 91 to, so we only have probably one more appearance of Brother Love as his manager on our show. And then we will get Paul Bearer. So,
who, I don't know if you noticed this, Rage, completely fits The Undertaker. Like a glove.
Yeah, and so as for the name Kane, The Undertaker, he was only referred to that before Survivor Series on an episode.
So this isn't the first time we've seen.
No, I guess it is the official camera debut. I think they teased him. But they referred to him as Kane the Undertaker on Superstars But by the time Survivor Series, the announcers only referred to him as The Undertaker, leaving the name Kane. They didn't even mention the name Kane at this Survivor Series.
Well, Kane's just probably a stupid name. I don't know anybody who would want to go by that.
Yeah, so, I mean, he was only really referred to that, like, before Survivor Series, Kane the Undertaker. So that's a little interesting fact about that whole Kane the Undertaker name.
Right.
So he kind of dropped that before he even wrestled a match. So,
which is good. I mean, I think it's worked out for him all right.
Yes, definitely. So I think dropping it and then making that his brother's name kind of worked out in their favor. It's kind of odd that they kept that name around for, what was it, 6-7 years before Kane premiered? What 96, 97 when Kane premiered, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
When he was the first Hell in a Cell match against Shawn Michaels, Kane shows up.
Well, I'm sure someone at WWE executives or whatever was like, hey, remember how we were going to call Undertaker Kane? Let's take that name and make it something.
Very interesting to see how that all worked out. Okay, so to start off where we left off last time, the first thing we get is an interview with Hulk Hogan, Big Boss Man, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and Tugboat. This is the first time I think we've seen Tugboat in any of our shows.
They are the team, the Hulkamaniacs.
Yes, the Hulkamaniacs, and they are about to go into battle with the likes of the Natural Disasters, which is... Actually, it's a new Natural Disasters now because different teammates. The Barbarian and Earthquake, Dino Bravo, and Haku. So wait a second, who's the Natural Disasters then? And they're with Bobby... Oh, I think their team name is the Natural Disasters. Yes. Oh, because wait a second, the Natural Disasters don't exist yet.
No,
I just can't.
Yeah, they called their team name the Natural Disasters.
I'm catching that while I'm sitting here reading the team name. My bad. Yeah, that just kind of confused me. Because the Natural Disasters ends up being Earthquake and Typhoon, which is Tugboat on the other side eventually.
Correct.
So that's kind of funny that their Survivor Series team name is called the Natural Disasters.
I'm sure they were like, man, that was a good name.
That's a pretty good name.
Let's stick with that. Let's stick with that.
So anyhow... Dino Bravo, Earthquake, Haku, and the Barbarian, which I believe the Barbarian had left the WWF, so I think he's back now, because I believe he was the teammate of Warlord.
He was.
So it was kind of nice to see him back with a new gimmick.
Looking like a barbarian.
Yeah, pretty much looking like a barbarian, where before he just looked like a LOD ripoff. So, yeah. Although a good LOD ripoff.
Walmart brand.
They were good. So anyhow,
I get a lot of things from Walmart. I mean, whatever.
So anyhow, this match was all right. It was a good match, not a great match, but it was a good match. Hacksaw Jim Duggan gets eliminated by using a 2x4.
What?
Surprise! Yeah. So that's how he gets eliminated.
The cheater cheats again.
Then, ironically, the Natural Disaster team and one of the Hulkamaniac teammates gets counted out. So Earthquake and Tugboat are fighting outside the ring, and they get counted out. I thought that was kind of funny. Soon to be tag team partners, or they get counted out. And then so it comes down to I believe it was Hogan and was it the Barbarian was the last one?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. So, and then, of course, surprise, Hogan wins this match.
Haku gets taken out, right off the bat.
He must have, yeah.
He did.
So, but like I said, this match was just, it was there. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was just there. Kind of a low point in the show so far. Just wasn't that exciting.
I'd be willing to say that this is the worst match of the night so far.
Yeah, it might very
well
be.
Little preview that this could be the worst match of the night.
I actually would not argue with that because this match just wasn't all that thrilling.
No, it wasn't.
It might have had a lot to do with there's just nothing but big guys.
I like how they're just. I like how they're talking when they had their interview and they're talking about how tugboats gonna like sink ships and stuff. I don't think that's what a tugboat is. Tugboats aren't normally your battleships, are they?
No, I think it's like a fishing boat.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I don't know enough about boats. We're probably going to get ripped on the internet for not knowing enough about boats.
Most tugboats I'm aware of are from the old cartoons. That's my most little tugboats, the little cartoon tugboats. I don't know if I've ever seen a real life tugboat.
Yeah, I don't really know if I've really paid attention. Have we ever seen Tugboat on Vacation? What do you think? She don't want to be involved.
No, I've seen it in cartoons. I've seen it, speaking of cartoons, I've seen it with South Park. Tugboat, the one up Russell Crowe, fighting around the world.
Oh, yeah.
He's making films and fighting around the world. Hey, Tuggy! The tugboat gets shot.
So anyhow, enough about Tugboat. But yeah, like I said, this, just wasn't an exciting match. Like I said, there was no botches in this match. There wasn't nothing to really hardcore complain about. I thought it was kind of funny that one of the guys tried to go to the top rope and it didn't really work out. And Roddy Piper was like, "That's why you don't do that when you're a big guy." He's like, "They're not the size of the Rockers. You can't do that because you're big." And it's like, tell Keith Lee that. Tell Keith Lee that to his face, because the man defies physics. Yeah. But I guess in this day and age, that really didn't happen.
Guys didn't really.
I'll tell you what, Bam Bam Bigelow, though,
yeah,
he kind of, he was doing some stuff the big guys probably shouldn't be doing.
And can we talk about how great it is hearing him on the announcer table?
Oh, yeah, he's wonderful.
He's pretty fantastic on there.
Yeah, I like Roddy Piper talking, and so that's kind of one of the best things he does. So,
unfortunately, I don't want him not to be in the ring. So that's my only complaint about him being on the commentary. Is I want him in that ring.
Yeah, it does suck to not get him wrestling, but it's kind of nice to hear his voice the whole show.
That's true.
So it's kind of like a give or take. Would you rather? Well, what would be really great is towards the end of the show, and he takes his headset off and, "Let's go, buddy!" And starts fighting somebody because,
probably
that would be like the best of both worlds if he would get involved in a fight during a show and then go right back to commentary I had to take care of that loudmouth.
Right.
So, okay. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on and see what more this show has to bring. Okay, so before the next match, we get an interview with the Macho King Randy Savage. Oh, yeah! And he reminds the viewers too. Yep.
No.
He reminds
Don't do it.
Never do it, Slim Jim.
Son of a bitch. No, he doesn't.
He advertises Slim Jim.
He does not do that at all.
Watch the tape. It's true. Do it.
No, he doesn't.
I'll put it on my website.
That sounds like a fact he would say.
So anyhow, we get a Macho King interview, and then we also get a Sergeant Slaughter interview, and this is the first time we've seen Sergeant Slaughter as an Iraqi sympathizer. He talks about Bush. Oh, we forgot to mention something. Let's back the trolley up. We forgot to mention that Hogan volunteered him and his whole Survivor Series team to the services of President Bush in the military if they need it. I wonder if Bush ever considered making that call.
Well, we know that he never did make that call because
he never made the call.
Last time I checked, Hulk Hogan has never went to fight in the Iraqi.
Oh, surprised. So I'm guessing Bush watched the show and he said, "Not gonna do it," and he just he didn't make the phone call.
He's not gonna do it. He's not gonna do it.
Not gonna do it.
He didn't do it.
Not gonna call Hogan up. Not gonna do it. You're serving your country by entertaining All the Hawkeye maniacs. Okay, so moving on. So Sergeant Slaughter does the opposite and pretty much warns Bush not to come to Iraq or, we're going to, I guess, kill you? I don't know if he used those words, but basically he was kind of...
I think it was implied.
It was implied. So this match was basically USA versus Iraqi sympathizers in a sense. Yeah, sympathizers. And I don't think there was one Iraqi wrestler involved, but that's a whole nother issue. Yeah, so it was the team called the Alliance with the Bushwhackers, Butch and Luke, Nikolai Volkov, which is, he's Americanized now on the show, and then Tito Santana, hailing from probably Mexico or Texas, whatever. Then you have the Mercenaries, which is Boris Zukov, Sergeant Slaughter, Sato, and Tanaka, with which is the Orient Express, with Mr. Fuji and General Adnan. So this match was interesting. I actually enjoyed this match because they did something where they pandered to the whole USA, and the USA got 3 eliminations, like boom, boom, boom.
How the hell was Hacksaw Jim Duggan not part of this?
How is he not a part of the Alliance?
Yeah, facing against the...
How is Hogan not a part of versus the Iraqi sympathizers? I mean,
yeah.
The guy who waves
who
the
literally offered his services to George Bush in America.
I mean, instead you got Tito Santana and Nikolai Volkov on the American side. I can see the Bushwhackers. I can see the Bushwhackers.
Yeah, those Australians.
Even them, they're from Australia. But they come out, now that I said it, it's kind of odd that they teamed them up the way they did. So, not the best booking back in 90 on putting teams together. But I will say this was a great match. Not a great match, but it was a good match. So they did something where USA team, or we'll call it the Alliance as they were called officially, they got 3 quick eliminations, which left Sergeant Slaughter by himself, and he wiped through Nikolai Volkov, both Bushwhackers, and they really showed Sergeant Slaughter as a dominant force. The way they even finished this match was they had the referee get knocked down and Sergeant Slaughter cheat. Huh?
Did he get up again?
I'm not going to play into your musical cue here. So if you're ever going to let me down, let me finish this. So anyhow, he had his manager come in, hit Tito Santana with a flag, and they thought, and then he puts the camel clutch on to Tito Santana, and Tito doesn't tap out or say I quit or nothing, but they ring the bell, and Sergeant Slaughter thinks he has just won the match. Turns out the referee must be able to see while he's knocked out or whatever, and he called for the disqualification. And Sergeant Slaughter ends up losing this match, but in a way that made him look and feel pretty dominant.
Yeah. Sergeant Slaughter was just pissing the night away.
There's whiskey drinking and vodka drinking. No, we are talking wrestling. So anyhow, so I just thought it was interesting the way they did this match where they made sure USA won, because you gotta have USA win, but making Sergeant Slaughter look like a dominant force. And obviously we know, because coming up, I believe, is the WrestleMania where Sergeant Slaughter faces Hulk Hogan. So you gotta kind of build him up. But it was a good way of not allowing the Iraqi sympathizers to win, but...
Sympathizers?
Yeah, because they were all... None of them were Iraqis, so they have to be Iraqi sympathizers.
Yeah, you said sympathizers.
I thought I said sympathizers.
No, not really.
So anyhow, regardless, we can play the tape back. We'll see who's right here. So anyhow, regardless, I just thought it was an interesting way of making a superstar look dominant without allowing them to win the match. And I thought that, I don't know if we've seen a lot of that kind of stuff, creative stuff like that on these older wrestling shows. We see it a lot in modern wrestling, where they make a guy still look dominant, but they disqualify him or whatever. Now, their cue in these a lot of times is, well, we don't want to see this guy get pinned or this guy get pinned, so we're going to have them fight outside and they're counted out.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they really like to do.
That's what they really like to do constantly when they don't want a guy to be put over or, So they definitely have their little tricks, but I just thought this was more of a creative trick that they did to make a guy look strong before a big show like WrestleMania.
Right.
Without being like, the WWF thinks Iraqi's going to beat the USA. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just it was kind of a cool little, interesting way they did with that.
Yeah, it was...
Which is probably a lot of the reason why Hogan wasn't in this match, because they just would have wanted Hogan to win. So...
Yeah. I didn't think it was as bad as the last match. I didn't think it was terrible. It was fine. I didn't like it as much as it seems like you did, but...
I think I liked the creative way they put the match together. Was my main thing. I don't know if it was a great match. I just thought it was creative, the way they did everything. Which gives it bonus points on the Hogan match, because I thought that was just dull.
Yeah, I guess.
It wasn't bad, it was just
I guess
dull.
I can understand that.
So that's kind of where I'm at on this match. Okay, so let's see what more we got. Okay, so the next thing we get is an interview with the team of the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, Paul Roma, Hercules, the model Rick Martel, and the Warlord with Virgil and Slick. They have their things to say. So something interesting is going on in this Survivor Series that we didn't really realize when we started watching it. They're doing something where they have a Survivor Series finale. So all the wrestlers that survived their matches, they get to face off in this Survivor Series finale. And it doesn't matter what the number is, but apparently it does matter if you're heel or face.
Yeah, I found that kind of weird.
Yeah, because they've got 8 guys remaining, but they put 5 on the heel side, and they put 3 on the face side. So they didn't even it up.
You know what would have been kind of interesting?
If they'd have mixed it?
Yeah, if they would have thrown $1 Million Man, because one wasn't a full team that won. So one Survivor Series team all won. So they could have been on one side, and then they could have had the $1 Million Man switch to the good side, and then that would have been a really interesting one, throwing $1 Million Man with Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, that would have been kind of an interesting concept. You could have played with that, like him trying to throw money at him and stuff like that. Yeah. So that definitely would have kind of changed the thing. Because, I mean, look at modern Survivor Series. The Raw and SmackDown teams were full of heels and faces. So it was just
that's because they have it SmackDown versus Raw instead of heels and face.
I know. I'm just pointing out that it could happen. It could work.
Yeah, but they didn't really do that much back then. They didn't like putting faces and heels together and...
Yeah, I just can envision $1 Million Man being the AJ Styles of the team, like saying, I'm the leader, and, trying to get the team to go and, do his little spreading money. He'd be that AJ Styles role.
I agree. I think that would have been cool. I would have loved to see that. That's why I said that would have been an interesting way to do it, but they didn't.
Okay, so after this, we have the most famous introduction in Survivor Series, the year of 1990. I mean, it eclipsed any other superstar that premiered at Survivor Series. And that is...
the Gobbly Gooker.
So the Gobbly Gooker finally hatches from his egg. And imagine being a fan in 1990 waiting to wonder what this egg thing is, and then this is what you get. You get the Gobbly Gooker.
Well, he's a champion now.
Huh?
I said he's a champion now.
Oh, yes, he is a one-time 24/7 champion. So yeah, we get the Gobbly Gooker. We get some little bit of funny commentary from Mean Gene Okerlund talking about
Maybe
whoever hatched that egg had to have hurt.
Yeah.
And then also suggesting to the audience, which I think was the main reason he got major boos, was suggesting to the audience that maybe there's a Playboy Playmate.
And it was very much not a Playboy Playmate.
Well, we don't know who's under that suit. It could be.
Actually, we do.
We do know.
Keep talking. I can find this out.
Okay, so I guess the point is that he kind of hyped this up to be something big, and then the Gobbly Gooker comes out, and the fans immediately start booing. They start to kind of, they're all right towards the end. Gobbly Gooker's doing his little dancing and shtick that he does in the ring, doing his cartwheels and everything. But I think modern fans would have continued booing. I don't know if they ever would have turned and started cheering like this crowd did.
Actually, someone somewhat famous is under that costume.
So is it isn't it a baseball player or baseball figure?
Nope, it's an Mexican-American professional wrestler, Hector Manuel Guerrero Lanes.
Really?
He is Chavo Guerrero Jr.'s uncle.
That's who's in the Gobbly Gooker suit?
Yep, his sibling is, of course, Eddie Guerrero.
Ooh.
That is who is in that Gobbly Gooker suit.
Interesting. Was he the same? Is it the same Gobbly Gooker that won the 24/7, or is that a different person portraying? Because I don't know. Is Hector Guerrero even alive still?
It says he's 66 years. It doesn't say he's dead.
Huh.
It looks like it was.
That's an interesting fact I did not know. I'll be darned.
I don't know if he was in the 24. He's probably. He's 66, so. They might have had someone else underneath there. But that's who is the original.
I'll be darned.
Hector Guerrero.
Okay, so after the Gobbly Gooker shtick, we move on to an interview with Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior, and Tito Santana. They do themselves a little bit of an interview, and then it's on to the match. It is the Survivor Series finale match.
Yeah, and it was
all right.
It was all right.
It was better than the first Hogan match.
The first podcast we did had a lot better matches.
I agree. The beginning of the show was dynamite. But yeah, I agree that this match was just, it was kind of quick. Really, I don't even know if the match was over 10 minutes, to be honest with you. No,
I think
9 minutes and 7 seconds is the official time.
I was going to say, I think it was about 10 minutes, but okay, 9 minutes.
Yeah, 9 minutes, 7 seconds to eliminate 5 different guys. Right away, Tito Santana and Hogan kind of double teamed on, was it the Warlord, I believe?
Warlord went out first.
And they eliminated him immediately, right after the match started. So the Warlord was eliminated, but then Tito Santana got eliminated soon after that. And then pretty much it was Hogan and Warrior eliminating everybody else from there. So this was definitely a, I don't want to call it a squash match, but it was just to hype up Hogan and Warrior. I mean, really, let's call it what it was. To make them look like the powerful forces in the WWF today. But anyhow, this match was just really fast. Guys were getting eliminated quickly. The only, not even interesting, but the model Rick Martel kind of refused to participate. And after he was getting beat up, he ran out and kind of waved his arms like, I'm not dealing with this. And he walked out on his team.
Well, Rach, he's a model, so, he didn't want anything to happen to that beautiful face of his.
Yeah, don't want to get on the unemployment line, I suppose.
That's correct.
So he just had to protect his investment, I guess. But then we get the whole celebratory Hogan and Moyer at the end of the match, and that's the end of Survivor Series 1990. So really, I felt like the show really kind of started off like a rocket. And then just once it got into space,
then it crash landed.
No, it didn't crash land. It just kind of started floating there because that's what you do in space. I don't ever felt like it really crashed and burned. It almost did with Gobbly Gooker. That was kind of a, but we knew that was coming. That was no surprise.
That was the best part of the show.
That was the greatest part of the show. Is like Undertaker who? Gobbly Gooker premiered. I mean, forget the Undertaker, right? So
I'm sure he's going to have a long, long career.
Oh, I'm sure he's going to be the biggest superstar of all time. So, and this is if we was in 1990 talking and, actually didn't know the future of these individuals. So that is the end of the show there. And like I said, I thought this was a pretty solid show. It definitely... it was better early than it was late, but it wasn't horrible. I don't think it was ever horrible. I think there was one kind of bad clothesline in that main event, though. Hogan did a clothesline that I think it was Rick Martel it was like a delayed reaction. It was kind of an awkward, like he had to spin around. He clotheslined him too early, I think. And so Rick Martel almost like backed up into the ropes and was like, oh yeah, that was supposed to go out of the ring on this clothesline. Yeah. So it just kind of looked awkward. I just thought it kind of, maybe it was kind of a botch. But other than that, I didn't really see any bad botches or anything in this show other than that one clothesline. And I don't even know if it was a botch. It just looked really awkward. It just looked weird. So having said that, let's go ahead and see what our favorites and all that good stuff is. Okay, so we are going to start a new segment as much as we can. We are going to ask our friend Boomer to participate a little bit, and he's going to send us facts on the shows. So probably once every... It'd be at the end of every pay-per-view. So if it's a 2-part episode, you only get it on the one episode.
Correct.
And so on and so forth. So we're going to go ahead and try to start this trend today on the Survivor Series episode. So we are going to have Boomer's Facts.
Yep, Boomer, take it away.
Hello, Rage and Blaze fans. This is Boomer, and this is a new segment we're going to try on the Rage and Blaze show called Boomer's Backstage Facts, maybe. But here we go. Here are some facts about the 1990 Survivor Series. The first one, which you guys talked about a little bit, was the first match with, the Ultimate Warrior, LOD, and Kerry Von Erich against Demolition and Mr. Perfect. A couple things about this match. One that's interesting is at this time, the Texas Tornado was actually not the Intercontinental Champion anymore. This was back in the day when they recorded shows ahead of time. And the show where the title changed and went back to Mr. Perfect hadn't aired, so Texas Tornado actually comes out with the belt and is announced as the champ, but he is not the Intercontinental Champion at this point. And of course, if you're wondering why this match was first, unfortunately the simple answer is Hogan. Hogan was in the main event. Another question you guys had was about Roddy Piper, where this time Piper was looking to come back but not quite ready to wrestle. He was still doing his Hollywood thing, and Jesse Ventura had left the company, so in Vince's eyes he thought that Piper could be that guy, that heel commentator that he wanted. And Piper was still trying to act, so he wasn't quite ready to do a full-time role. This was also, by the way, Axe's last match. This is where Crush had already came in, like you know, and of course Axe appeared a few more times, but only as a manager. This was his last actual wrestling match. He was 40 years old at this time, and Vince just thought that he didn't have what it took anymore, which is crazy to think, by the way, because Demolition is still together to this day, and they are still wrestling. And this is 1990, and Axe is already 40. Now let's go to some of these teams, because a lot of people left the company at this time. Believe it or not, the original fourth member of the $1 Million Team was Bad News Brown. And he had left the company, and of course, thank goodness, because it led to The Undertaker, who was already in the works. This was just not the original debut plan for The Undertaker. But with Bad News Brown gone, they decided this was the spot to put it in. I'm always going to remember the Survivor Series just for that reason. Sorry, it's early in the morning. I've had a crazy week. I've been trying to do this forever, guys. Just bear with me. Another interesting one here is that originally Ravishing Rick Rude was also supposed to be on this card. And he was another person at this time that left the company. And he, there we go. Here's another one for you. This was actually not technically The Undertaker's debut. It was just his televised debut. He was working in house shows. This was actually his 5th match in the WWE, because that's normal. At least back then, that was the normal, that you would put guys on house shows before they debuted, because they have to get used to the ring. You know, he came from WCW, and believe it or not, they have different rings. So yeah, that was actually The Undertaker's 5th match. And also, yeah, Rick Rude was supposed to be in the main event. He was supposed to be on Earthquake's team. He left the company. Rick Rude was replaced, of course, by Haku. One other one, too, as well, is originally Akeem was supposed to be on Sergeant Slaughter's team, and of course Akeem left the company and was replaced by Boris Zukov. Wow. And of course this Survivor Series also brought us the Gobbly Gooker, who, if a lot of you don't know, it was actually Hector Guerrero. That poor man had to stay in that egg the whole day. 2 more little facts for you. It was actually also the highest and most bought Survivor Series from 1990 all the way up to 1998. Wonder if that was because of the Gobbly Gooker. It was also the first and last time we saw the Ultimate Survival match. I personally dig that myself, but it did not stick around. So there you go, folks. There's a little backstage news for you about Survivor Series. Some interesting things there. The craziest one to me is the fact that back in the day, things like that would happen where technically Kerry Von Erich was not the Intercontinental Champion anymore, but he still had to be on TV. So there you have it, Survivor Series 1990. There are some backstage facts for you from Boomer. You guys have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time, and talk to you next time. Thanks, Reggie Blaze. This is Boomer.
Favorite match of the night. Okay, so best match of the night. I think there was a pretty clear-cut winner. And not only was it the best match of the night, but it also was the most iconic moment of the night. And that is the $1 Million Team defeating the Dream Team and the premiere of The Undertaker. So that is by far, I think, the best match of the night. I think that's the main reason people remember Survivor Series 1990. But really, 1990 Survivor Series was really a great show to begin with, full of great matches. But definitely the premiere of The Undertaker kind of highlights the whole thing. And the fact that it was a really good match helps. I mean, it could have been a bad match with a great moment, but it was just an overall good match to begin with.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with you. I think the first match was really, really good too, but just having The Undertaker in there, even with the issues I had with it, his manager being Brother Love and everything, I still think that probably was the best match, and it probably is more because of Undertaker than anything. It had a fun ending too, even though I think that Undertaker should have just stayed in there and survived. And being at the finale too, but you know.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things that made me wonder, seeing that they had that finale at the end. Seeing The Undertaker a second time would have been great, but I almost think he got counted out so you didn't see him a second time.
Maybe.
He was brand new, first time. Maybe they didn't want to overdo it with that premiere.
And also, you didn't want to face him against Hogan and Ultimate Warrior.
Because the idea was to make him look powerful, and that's why he got counted out.
Yeah, and they probably wouldn't have let him win against those two. Not in his first.
Yet, no.
Yeah, so it's probably for the best. But I still, but I didn't know that at the time we were watching that match.
Yeah, we didn't know at the beginning of the show that the survivors were going to wrestle again at the end of the night. That's kind of a new concept we've never seen.
It's kind of interesting. I don't hate it.
It kind of makes me wonder how many more Survivor Series that happens. Because I don't remember when we were watching it on a regular basis in the late 90s.
I don't think I've ever seen it before.
I don't recall that ever happening, so kind of makes you wonder if this is a one and done, but I guess we'll have to wait. I mean, we could Google it, or maybe we can just wait till 1991 Survivor Series, and of course we will be covering that too. We can find out if this continues on, because I think that idea of the survivors get a finale,
it's kind of interesting.
That was kind of a neat idea.
I agree.
Okay.
Worst match of the night.
Okay, worst match of the night.
I have a feeling we're going to agree on this too.
To be honest, this was kind of an easy one. It was definitely the Hulkamaniacs versus the Natural Disasters. And I guess it wasn't a bad match. It just was a dull match. I just didn't find anything to really enjoy too much in this match. There wasn't any huge moments, big spots or nothing. It just kind of was there. And it just really just did not do much for me.
Luckily, it wasn't terrible. It just wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't a terrible match, but it was definitely the worst of the night, in my opinion. It just wasn't special.
Agreed. And that's my worst match of the night too.
Yeah.
There's not really a question about it. It's just, it was the worst one of the night.
Yeah, definitely. It just kind of just not a lot going for it. Usually, a lot of times, there's big moments that really excite you in a wrestling match, and even if the rest of the match was just ho-hum, there's usually big moments. I just never saw that big moment in this match that made you kind of remember it. You know what I mean?
I understand.
So it is what it is. That's the worst match of the night. We're kind of unanimous on this show, best match and worst match. So, I mean, not a lot of arguing here. It would make our jobs easier, probably make the listeners easier if we disagree on this, but unfortunately...
you want me to pick another match just because?
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that we're going to do that. Pick something just to boost ratings or nothing. No, we're not going to do that. I'm just saying... it's just kind of, be argumentative about something when we're not arguing.
Yeah, no, it's not this time.
Okay, so I say we go ahead and rank these.
Survivor Series rankings.
Okay, so I think this is kind of going to be obvious the way we've talked throughout this whole show. this Survivor Series 90 is, I think, head and heels over all the other ones so far. So I definitely think this is going to go straight to the top of my list. So I'm going to have, we'll call it Survivor Series 4, 1990 at the top of my list. Then I'm going to go Survivor Series 2, 3, and then 1. And that'll finish off my rankings for Survivor Series.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. So for my rankings are in order. At the bottom is Survivor Series 1, then 2, then 3, and then 4 at the top.
So that was pretty easy. I mean, I think it was clear as day that this definitely was head over heels better than any of the other shows. But it was definitely a really great, strong card from the beginning. Like I said, it just kind of mellowed out towards the end, but it definitely was. The whole show was pretty good.
It was a pretty good show, and then you also had the iconic entrance of The Undertaker for the first time. So.
Yeah, and that one's going to be kind of hard to beat. So far, for Survivor Series, I believe every show so far has had nothing but Survivor Series matches. I believe that's going to change in the 91 edition.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think the whole show is going to be Survivor Series matches anymore. So we'll see if I'm right about that, but I'm pretty sure we get a pretty epic main event at the next Survivor Series, but I'm not going to spoil it for you, in case you don't remember.
I have no idea.
But yeah, we get a pretty good main event, and I know that main event's a one-on-one match, so I'm kind of curious if that's the only one-on-one match, or how this happens.
I thought I had much longer to start getting annoyed about the fact that we stopped getting every match being a Survivor Series match.
Yeah, well, that's not the case, and the next show, I believe, is going to change that. Okay, so now I suppose it'd be time to plug the pluggables.
Yeah, you can find me on Dragon Blazer Productions on the Facebook, the Instagram, the YouTubes, and you can find me on Twitters at Dragon Blazer Pro.
Is there multiple Twitters and multiple YouTubes if you're holding multiple devices? Is that the thing? Or...
I think I've made this pretty clear that there's a multiverse out there, and in the different multiverses, there's different versions of Rage and Blaze Show, and there's multiple versions of us on Facebooks and the Twisters.
What is the Twisters?
That is a Twitter-like thing for tornadoes.
Okay. So, you can find me on the Rage and Blaze Show Facebook page, at the Rage and Blaze Show on Instagram, and at Ricky Rayberg on Twitter, just the one. And that would be all the places you could find me.
All right, well then, so long.
Farewell.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Goodbye. Okay, so this has been the Rage and Blaze Show. I'm Rage.
And I'm Blaze.
And good night from Rage's Pit. And here is your winners, and still podcast tag team champions of the world,
the Rage and Blaze Show.
Thank you for listening.
Hey everyone, this is Blaze from the Rage and Blaze and the Boomer and Blaze Show. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more wrestling content.